Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another session of Transformation Thursday. I'm Buzz, I'm your host, and today I have Tony here with me, and he has quite an amazing story going from a martial art champion to um, being a monk, to living in Japan, to living in the States, working for a big corporate, and starting his own company. So there's been a lot of turning points in his life, and I'm very curious, what he has to say about turning points and how he dealt with change. But first, Tony, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. You know who you are, where you're from.
Yeah, first, thank you to being on your show,
Thank you.
and hopefully you have something to bring value to the listeners and viewers of your show, and that they can probably take their turning points and make it a success. So I live in Berlin now. I had lived. My father was in the British Army. So as a boy, I went to, I believe, four different schools at elementary schools, and then another two, three before I finally did my high school diploma. And I studied in London and Berlin. So I had a lot of movement in my life in these terms. And my mother is from Berlin, Germany. So finally, I settled in Berlin now. But before, I lived in as you told already, I lived in Japan. I lived in the UK. I lived in Germany. I lived um in the US in California. And I moved back when my father got sick. So I traveled all over and worked all over different places. So I have done a lot of different things, and initially, if there's something which defined my, let's say, maybe the character or my main interest in something was my sister was a judo champion as a girl. She's 4 years older, and she was a judo champion as a schoolgirl. Okay, so let's say 10 years old or something. And so on the local level. And so my mother thought, oh, that's a good idea. So Tony should go there and
Uh-huh.
learn judo. And
Yeah.
I hated it. So then you always get thrown to the ground, and I didn't like it. And so maybe that's a very small turning point. I was not even 6 years old at this time. And I talked to the instructor and said, honestly, I hate it, right? I hate to get to the ground all the time. I'm the smallest of everybody in the class. I'm the tiniest guy here. So uh, I like the thing around it,
Mm-hmm.
the rituals and everything, right? The
Yeah.
Japanese, whatever this is, right? But I don't like judo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, okay, no problem. I have another class. And he was the first official karate instructor in Germany, 1968. Okay, long time ago. And so I joined his class.
Uh-huh.
Was the only boy doing that. So I was 5.5 years old.
Uh-huh.
Karate. Okay. So
uh,
this was the first turning point I had.
yeah.
And I'm not very talented. I'm just diligent. So I'm pretty disciplined in doing, and I trained harder than anybody else I knew at this time. So people had more talent than I had, but I was training even harder. Right. So my life was at this time school, karate, karate, school, weekend, karate. So this was my life, everything in it. I was just doing karate. And because of the effort I put into training, I won a lot of championships, and finally um, got a stipendia from the Japanese Karate Association. Was sent to Japan, lived in Japan for 3 years,
What is
and
that? What do you call it?
I got a stipendium.
Okay.
So I got I was awarded.
Oh,
They paid the flight, the stay in Japan, organized the school, put
okay.
me into the karate schools there locally. They paid for my time being in Japan, and so I was one of 10 Europeans picked to be sent over to Japan from the association, from the Japanese Karate Association. And I stayed there finally 3 years and lived in Japan. I only went back to finish my high school um, education in Germany, did the final exam, then went back to Japan. And at this time, I won the European Junior Championship. So I was a junior champion for Europe and was invited to fight the World Championship in the US. So this is what was my life, right? So this is biggest thing in the beginning. And for most people, this would be the way to go, right? So this would be the purpose. What will you do? Okay, now you have won a lot of championships, and you're good at it, and you're a good instructor. I started training people at age 13, so I was a instructor for at this time at least 7-8 years. And so I came back, and everybody expected me to open a studio, a karate studio,
Yeah.
right? Karate institute, and teach people. And I didn't. So, which is weird, right? So you won a lot. I didn't became a world champion, but I was defeated. But I was in the final, and so I had a lot of success, and so most people couldn't understand why I didn't it. So, and I decided to do something else. So my life and the turning points in my life are always what I'm interested in. What do I like? What is where I'm curious? What do I like to learn? And so because at this time we have to go back into the hold on 60, 80, 83, 84, 85 at this time frame 83. Personal computer came up. I had one of the first personal computers at home. I like programming. I
Yeah.
understand the structure of languages and all that, and programming languages. And I became a programmer, as a hobby, right? So a hobby program. And so I decided I will do something different with my life than being another 40 years in the karate dojo. And so
Can I ask a question? Did you
yeah,
feel that you came to, let's say, an end in your karate journey, or like, was everything
no.
okay?
It is true that you know that you probably will not fight for another. I did on a let's say professional level, if you want to talk like
Yeah.
this, half professional, whatever you want to call it. I even went into the professional league at this time in the UK and fight at tournaments there. The most people in fighting will end their career roughly in the 30s, but then they can open when they didn't open up earlier a studio or
Mhm.
dojo, they will go further for another, and then they can go forever. You couldn't go do tournaments till 80. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the real deal in fighting is probably up to your, let's say the turning point is probably 30, 35 or so. So I wasn't at the end of my journey in terms of as a fighter, as a tournament fighter. And at least if you understand a little bit about Japanese Budo, there's no end in development. So you will not reach an end and say, oh, okay, I've done everything, I won everything, now I'm done. You could go further, and I still do. So I have now 55 years, exactly 55 years in August. I, I'm doing karate now, and so probably I will do it as long as I'm healthy for the rest of my life. But it was, don't get me wrong, it is not that it was boring or I didn't want to do that, but this is something more like, okay, I've invested 20 years of my life
Mm-hmm.
in nothing else but karate, nothing else, and school, of course, and playing football or whatever. But uh, anyways, what will you do? Will you do something else? Yes, and I'm a curious person, so I thought, oh, maybe there's something around the corner which I would like to do. And an uncle of mine, um, he was a chef for desserts and sweets, and he worked at the Ritz-Carlton in London. And he invited me to come and see what he was doing and all the cakes and baking and what he was doing. And I told him, "Oh, I like food a lot. What should I do?" And he said, "Don't become a chef like me." I said, "Why?" "Oh, you do 300 dishes for dessert for somebody, and they eat it in 2 minutes, and nobody takes care about how much effort is put into it after a long career in making desserts and sweets." He said, "It's not worth it. But if you like this idea, maybe go into the food industry." And this is what I did. I studied food engineering, became a food engineer, and joined the Nestle organization, the food giant Nestle.
Yeah.
I worked in a chocolate factory in the lab of the chocolate factory, and developed new chocolates. So some of the new chocolates I did, and then you had to bring the new chocolates. So the team was developing the chocolate, and you have to bring the chocolate into production, which is totally different than developing a new one, because you have to think about how do you do this, not 10 chocolates a day, but 10,000 or 100,000 of these. And so it's a totally different approach how to do that. And I like that a lot. It's a lot of challenges, a lot of work, a lot of interesting work in engineering, and to finally bring out a product. Okay. And so I worked in while I studied, while I was still studying. Nestle hired me to join their team, and I worked in Nestle while I was finishing my education. So I worked a day and studied at night. So this is
Mm-hmm.
it. And when I had some minutes left, then I went to the dojo. Okay. So, and I did this, and then Nestle said, maybe this guy, he's pretty dedicated and working, and he has a good work habits, or I don't know. He's very disciplined. He was a hard worker. He's probably smart enough to work at Nestle. So he decided to send me around Nestle. So they shipped me all over different factories doing different products. As long as you are in the chocolate world, chocolate is unique because chocolate is secured in a way by law. So you can't mess up with chocolate. So it's a chocolate or it's something else. You can't name it chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have only a few ingredients, and you can put stuff in the chocolate, but you can't change the formula of how to make a chocolate. And so this is in a way secured from too much innovation, right? When you call it that way. And so they sent me over to other products, and I saw a lot of stuff which honestly, I know why they did it, because to make food cheap, but it's not what you want to do. And I was in meetings with people, let's say my age today, as food engineers working at Nestle for 30, 35 years, and they said things I didn't like. So I said, oh, what will you do, right? You will be sitting there in 30 years and do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you become a part of the culture and where you work. And so I decided to leave chocolate after a couple of years and moved over to the IT industry, which is totally weird. But at this time, you could do it. Nobody really, you can program fine. You know how to do that. Okay, fine. Join the team, and I became part of HP,
Yeah.
and they asked me, well, another turning point. You can teach our engineers how to program, or you could go into sales and marketing. What do you want? And it was the same thing. Well, I have no clue what this is, the sales and marketing thing. Maybe I should do it, right? So I again looked for the unknown thing. Maybe that's a reason, right? I was looking for something which was new and unknown and maybe a little risky, but I thought, man, maybe I can do it. We will see. And so I moved over to sales and marketing and did what I always did when I do something new. I really study it hard. I study a lot. I don't read poetry. If when I'm into a new project, I read everything I can get my hands on. I talk with people. I listen to podcasts. I do whatever I can to learn what I can learn from books and stuff on top of your own experience. And so I became the youngest sales engineer at HP, winning one of their achievements in President's Club, whatever they had, and selling more stuff than other people. And I didn't do it because I'm a natural salesman. I'm not. I'm an engineer by heart, right? I'm very process oriented. I think in structures and stuff like that. And
Well,
so
I mean, if I can say something,
yes,
what I hear in this story, in all these things, there's also when you talk about your karate, you're like, well, I wasn't the most talented, but I was the most disciplined, and I trained the most, I put in the most, and that really created the result. And
yes,
that's like, I mean, you did that with chocolate, and now in engineering, sorry, in with HP, and then okay, you were very good at programming. You probably did a similar thing there, but they gave you an option, and you basically, I mean, you applied the same,
principle.
yeah, discipline.
Yes,
Absorb anything that I can get my hands on, train myself. You probably trained yourself more than other people did,
yes, I
which
did.
made you more, which made you successful.
Yes, and in a way, this is if people ask me, this is what I just by luck, but by accident, I learned from.
Is that really luck?
Yeah, it's luck that I think there's a lot of luck in our life in a
Okay.
way that if my mother wouldn't have sent me to my sister's judo school, I wouldn't have influenced by my instructor. This is a character building thing. He told me,
Yeah.
no matter how good you are in the beginning, the only thing matters is working on your skills, becoming better. It's not about fighting against another person. It's about become the best you, not the
Mhm.
best you. Maybe you can't be the best on the planet, but the best version of you can become. So this was my underlining principle, the basement. And this was luck. No, what I did wasn't luck in terms of I did the training, I did the work, I did the studying, I did all that. So this was no luck. But to be privileged or just by accident getting into something, this was the lucky part. It's the same thing. I can tell today. I believe that a lot of turning points are somehow connected to luck. In a way, for example, how do I came to HP? A friend of mine asked me if I can jump in and do a presentation at the Hanover trade show in the 80s in
Mhm.
the IT department talking about artificial intelligence at the time, 1985 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did. I did a presentation about what the challenges are and all that stuff. And this presentation in this presentation, a guy, the one of the HR people from HP, were sitting in this audience, and he showed up and said, "Would you like to have a talk at the HP headquarter with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Right? So yeah, this was luck that he was in the audience. It was luck that I was there, and this was not luck that I said yes, I would. So
Uh-huh.
thing, right? So there's some luck and some non-luck in
Yeah,
each.
yeah, of course. But I mean, it's like your friend asking you to do this presentation. He asked you because of your, I mean, of what you created with him already. He sees
Yes,
you as someone capable of doing that because of, let's say, discipline or the way you work, the way you present yourself, um, a level of confidence that you show, um, and that then, yeah, leads. I mean, in this case, it led to this, but
yes,
it could have led to like someone else that approached you.
yes, and it's something I know that in a way to become successful in hindsight is always easy. If you look back, you can always have a good explanation what's
Yeah.
going on in your life, right? Or what went wrong, you can tell exactly. But at the moment when you stay at this turning on the left or right decision, when you stand on this place, you have no clue, you have no idea. So it was more thinking that I would be at least give it a try. Don't shut the door before you open it and walked in. I always thought I can go back to become a karate instructor if I want to. I even could do it today. You know, I could open up a studio if I want to, because I'm still a certified karate instructor. I still know how to teach, so no problem. But the other thing, you have no idea if it will work out. So today I could tell, yeah, it was the right decision to do, but it could have been the wrong one. But I always trusted my ability to go back if it was needed. If I could work myself back into a better position if there's something not working out. But I wasn't afraid about not something would not work out. I know I have listened to a lot of stuff from, of course, from the great Steve Jobs, for example, and he said you have to say no to a million things, right, and only say yes to a small amount of things. And he's right. If you want to develop a product, you have to do that way. In my life, I choose a different path. I always looked for saying yes more than saying no. I said no to drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I said yes to a lot of opportunities, to a lot of invitations, a lot of things where in the short view, you couldn't see any benefit out of it. Just why not? Why not see if this is if I'm interested in that stuff? And so I was driven by this. Oh, I have no idea. Maybe this is interesting. I will try it. And on the other way, doing that. So I went into HP and was a good salesperson. And then one thing leads to the other, and they show up and say, "Oh, could you lead a team?" Oh, but probably I have no idea. And so if you think I can, maybe yeah. And
Yeah.
so they train people a lot at HP at this time. So we get into a lot of education. So the basement of my professional education was led by HP. So and then another company showed up and said, "We would like to take you away from HP. Would you like to join us?" No, I like HP, but anyway, what are you doing? So I joined Sun Microsystems and Silicon Graphics later, and they promoted me to better and better and bigger positions. Right. So, and I always said, if people ask me, I learned a lot. I earned a lot of money. It was had a lot of success with different teams and different challenges, and enjoyed every minute and worked my ass off for this work. And it's a privilege to be able to do that at this time. So I was really thankful for having this chances and this projects and everything. And but there's a positive and a negative side. If you work into some, especially in the US, if you work into an American company in the sales market, especially in the sales-driven industry, like the IT industry, um, every quarter is like a year. So you have to push hard, and the quarter's over, and then they forgot everything you have just finished, and you have to do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I said I gave my life away for this work. So I invested fully in the work. I've invested myself fully in the work, but I did nothing else but working. I earned a lot of money, but I was traveling like crazy. I had in one 6 months period, I had 160 flights and 180 days. So this was my life. I was on airports every day. I was starting my day at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, went into the last hotel, 22 at 10 o'clock at night. So so I did this for a long time, and I was happy. And don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of fun. But in reality, then you use all this money to 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 work through the guilt guilty feelings you have with your family, right?
Yeah.
I'm always traveling. Okay, let's do a vacation on Hawaii. Spend $50,000 on that, because what else would I do with all this money, right? So
Yeah.
give a little bit. Let's have at least a week in the best hotel on Hawaii. And so I did this. Um, um, and so I can tell there's a lot of good things if you have a successful career, but there's also a price you pay.
Mm-hmm.
It was all fine. So I was living at this time in California, far away from my family here in Europe. And then my mother called and said, "Oh, your father got sick. He's very sick. He has cancer, and you have to. If you can't come back, maybe he will die." Okay. So I jumped into the airplane, flew over to Europe, and visited my father in the hospital. And they said, yeah, he will make it. Okay, he will get out. And then 2-3 weeks later, he's back in the hospital. Can you come? Oh. And so I did it for a while. And then I asked myself, okay, another turning point. You have only one father and one mother and one brother or two or whatever until you
Yeah.
but you have only a couple of what you call your family. And so I said, okay, it looks like he will die. Okay, you will all die, but he will die sooner as
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Yeah.
And why do I earn all that money? What for? Okay. So I went into that quarter of my company at this time and said, okay, I have to take care of my father. Okay, I want to take care of my father, so I will take unpaid sabbatical, unlimited, unknown limits. I don't know when I will be back, if I will be back ever. So I'm sorry to say, but I will take my time to give it to other people, the projects, and do everything I can. But then I will be off, so I will walk out of the office and be with my father for whatever time frame is left, right? So is it a month, is it 6 months, is it a year, whatever. And it was a year. So I took care of my father. I'm not good at taking care in terms of like in the hospital or something, but I went shopping with him. I cooked dinner and lunch and breakfast and washed his stuff and talked with him and spent a lot of time with my father. And in hospitals, outside of the hospital, whatever. And then finally it was a year. So I had 1 year with my father before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And he died, and it was a little bit before, 2 days before Christmas. And he died, and
Yeah, your internet connection was getting a little bit unstable.
oh no, here we are again. So it was just
Yeah, okay, no problem. The last thing I
so
heard was that 2 days
before Christmas he died.
yeah.
Yes. And then after Christmas, the day after Christmas, my phone starts ringing. Hey, can you come back? I didn't even tell people my father died. I don't know how these people knew it. And they
Okay.
said, "No, your father is gone. I'm sorry that your father is dead, but would you come back to join our company again?" And made me amazing offers. We will do jobs. We will create a job around what you want. And
Yeah.
I was always a corporate soldier in a way, and said, "No, that's what is the right thing for the company. We're not what the right thing for Anthony-James Owen. So what is the right thing to do for the company? And if it is not the right thing to do, it has nothing to do with me." So okay, and they made me amazing offers, increased my salary again, gave me stock options and whatever. And I thought long about that, right? And so said, "Well, I really want to to be on the airport." Fly more miles than the pilot. Would you really want to do that? And I said, maybe not. Maybe it's time to do something else. So I was roughly a little bit before my 40th birthday, end of my 30s, summer. And so I said, no, I would like to do something else. I had learned a lot from sales trainers in my life. I will become a sales trainer. I will
So,
not.
sorry I interrupt you,
Yeah,
but like it sounds like, in a way, like an offer too good to be true, or an offer you like another
couldn't
person
reject
would not refuse, right?
couldn't reject an offer like we give you so much money that you
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But you
true.
did.
They had offered me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's say so, for at least for me, a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
I know that today people in IT even earn more. That unbelievable amounts of money. But for me, going from 280, $350,000 to 750,000 base and stock options
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe hard to understand, but I thought honestly, you gave your life, not only your working time, but you gave your life for the money. You exchange your life for money. And I have just seen what happened if life ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of the money my father earned helped him when he was dying. Nothing matters. Material stuff didn't matter. So, and I said, eh, I've done it. I've earned it. I was successful. I've done it again. You know what I mean? I didn't become the CEO of something. No, no, no. But I
No.
was very successful. If you think about the time I worked in the industry, from where I'm coming from and stuff like that. So I said, okay, done that, fine. I saved some of the money. I spent a lot of this money also, but I saved some of the money and I spent it while I was unpaid on sabbatical with my father. So I had some money left and said, you know what? Honestly, I'm very interested in how back. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
so
very
I'm
interested in.
yes, I was always interested in that stuff, how it works, the mechanics, the psychology of decision processes and all that. And so I decided people should learn it from somebody who is not 67, 1 year away from retirement, and talking about 40 years ago we did this, and you sit
Oh,
and
yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and you think, okay, the gone salespeople when they have this is stupid. You should become a sales trainer when you are good at it, when you talk about when you do the same things people do today, right?
Mhm.
So I became a sales trainer in the end of my 30s and franchised, if you want to say it that way, franchised the licensed the training programs from the US, from California, from the Guerrilla Marketing Group, which I'm still running here in Europe, and and moved them over to Germany, translated them, adapted them to our culture, which is different than the US, and started becoming a sales trainer and open up my very small agency, my small company, training company, and did this. And this is what I did. You know, if you think about it, I had 20 years in karate, let's say roughly, right? Then I had 20 years in the corporate world and all that, and Nestle and in the IT industry and all that. And then I had the next 20 years until today, in a way, is what I'm doing now. So um, and I think in a way I'm still think I'm lucky, you know, that I come on, moving into some of these, right?
Yes.
So a friend of mine offered me a piece of a investment trust company if I would become a part owner of it. So
The internet is going in and
yeah,
out. I don't know.
it's shaky. I don't know why it is. Hold on, is it me?
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on here. So I did run a mutual fund, a
Mhm.
fund for a few years. So when I'm interested in something, I invest time, and I always did, and how does money work and all that stuff, and did this, and so. at this time also, I didn't know if I could do it. If I'm able to run this kind of product, if I can do it. Yes, I understood marketing and how to do that and all that, but I had no clue how to run a mutual fund. So I learned a lot with my colleagues doing this, and so this in a way is the thing. And how did I do it? I was always somebody who is thinking a lot. I think a lot. So I try to think things through. So, okay, take your notebook. Okay, I have my notebook here. Okay, take your notebook, open it up and say, okay, what is the issue? What I'm thinking, what is good about it? What is bad about it? Make a list, right? So, what do I have to do? What is necessary? What are the risks? If it didn't work out, what will I do? So it gives me a better platform to decide. Right?
Yeah.
It's not out of the gut. It's not, oh, I feel I should do it. No, I think about it. Are you back?
I am.
Yes, you were off. You were both off.
Okay, yeah, no, we're having a little bit of a problem with the connection, but okay. Let's see. Hopefully it improves. Yeah, you were talking about what were you when I got cut off or you got cut off on
Thinking on paper,
yes on your notebook.
thinking stuff through.
Yes.
So first of all, I think we are in probably the greatest time ever of humankind in terms of what we have available. Okay, you can open up your browser and you can type in anything, and we don't need artificial intelligence for that. We are jumping on and off the connection all the time. So
It's okay. That happens when it's live.
yes. So you could learn about almost anything. Not that you can learn about anything, but you can learn about anything you want to learn about. Yes, you will probably not be a brain surgeon. So we will not do brain surgery if you're not a doctor and educated in that. But in a lot of times you can learn a lot. Everything is available. It's not secret, or not all is secret anymore. It's you want to eat better, train better, work better. You can learn it. It's so easy to do. And I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a person who loves reading still. When I drive in my car, I have no idea if my radio is working because I always listen to podcasts or audiobooks or stuff. And I like it that way. If my wife takes my car, I know she was using the car because then the radio is on and not my podcast. Why is the radio on? Okay, somebody else used my car. Okay, so this is the way I was my whole life. And so
Yeah.
And I think
So
if
yeah.
you don't get guided by your fears, you use fear as something like fear means we are not probably prepared enough.
Mhm.
So when I'm fearful and think, oh, oh Jesus, should I do it? Oh no, I don't know. Then I know that probably I haven't prepared myself for this journey. So you should have only have fear if you have not prepared. Okay, and then fear is of course the right thing. But if you have prepared somehow, and if you have thought it through, there's no need to be fearful. You can do it. Okay, and a billion, whatever amount of people before you have done it and will do it after you. So it's not impossible to do. And so, yes, know your limits is fine. I know that. And knowing what you are good at is fine too. But you can always reinvent yourself if you prepare a little bit. Okay. And there's no need to rush into anything. So you could whatever. Give me something. There's some things maybe you are limited because whatever. physical limitations. Yes, probably you will not be a heavyweight boxing champion. Okay, and yes, you can become a marathon runner if you want to. Could you become a great artist? Maybe not, but could you become a good at least, but at least on a level of skill? Can you learn to become a better painter or something? Yes, you can. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
and
So
but
yeah, so one of the things we talk about in these lives as well is like embracing change, and how do you handle change. And what I hear from your story, I mean, you seem to embrace change, or you seem to love it, or really look for change like all the time. So what I would be interested about, if you recognize like somewhere in this where you were resisting change, and then you were stuck again.
maybe it looks maybe it looks like
Uh-huh.
it looks like that I'm embracing change for change itself. It's not about that I'm bored about something.
No,
Uh,
no. Mhm.
it's I have done some stuff for 50 years, so it's not that I'm bored with that. It's more that I take the unconventional route. When I was 15 years old, I read a book from a
Mhm.
guy, and on the book cover it said this guy was a salesman, a priest, um, and he had, let's say, 7 or 10 different careers, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
one man, he wasn't really what doing all these different things, right? So they said, "Wow, look at this! He did all these different things." And in a way, this impressed me so much that I did it in my life unconsciously again. So I had more than one life, like a cat, right? So I had different professions, but
Yeah,
in another way, I'm stable, right?
yeah.
I'm pretty boring. I eat the same ice cream. Ask my wife. She's always, oh, you eat always vanilla ice cream. Oh, yeah, this is so boring. Yeah, I like that, right? So, and I'm
I'm a chocolate ice cream guy. It's the only thing I eat, chocolate ice cream. The rest I don't care.
so don't mess up with vanilla.
No.
Are you back?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, so I'm pretty stable in other parts. So some parts
Uh-huh.
are. So if you think about the core of a person, I think something like what makes you a person, maybe not unique, but somehow makes you up.
Mhm.
These parts in me are stable.
Okay.
I'm I'm a reader. I'm a person who drinks tea all the time.
Mhm.
I'm I'm thinking stuff through. I I'm still disciplined and all that stuff. So this is a same for all my life. What is not the same, I looked into different professions. I followed my curiosity, and so and I always spend time and really learning, trying to learn. I didn't do whitewater rafting. I didn't do competition swimming or whatever. I'm I did only a few things. If you think what you can do, life is too short to do all everything you would like to do. So I selected them just by what makes sense at this time, what I was interested the most,
Mhm.
and um, in that way, I am. embrace change only in a few things. So, and other parts are pretty boring. So, no drugs, no parties,
No chocolate ice cream for you.
no chocolate. Oh, Jesus, no chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
Peanut butter is an experiment. So,
Uh, okay. So, I mean, you said you're now 55. You have another, let's say, 30 years to go.
hopefully,
Um,
yes,
yeah. What's, yeah, or maybe more, but
we never know. Yes.
no, yeah, but it's like, so what is it? I mean, when we set this up, you're like, you said something like, I started as a monk and I'm gonna end as a monk. Um, but what is it that you want to create for, let's say, whatever is gonna come?
Okay. So, I was living in a monastery when I was in Japan,
Yeah.
and the head priest asked me about if I would like to become a monk, or should I? Maybe it's the other way around. Should I or shouldn't? And in this discussion, he said, "You should be a monk in the real world." So he taught me a lot about how monasteries in Japan work, how it is, who is in a monastery, where do most of the monks came from, what kind of going more into the why is stuff happening. And so he said you should become somebody who is working and being in the world and not hide yourself in the monastery, right? So you should do something with it. And I always, this is more a joke, right? I started as a monk and I ended as a monk. But I think I believe my life is going into a very big circle. I
Hmm.
was always interested when I started karate. I was interested in Japanese culture. There's a reason I drink green tea. I know a lot about green tea. I own a part of a tea farm in Japan. So I meditate for 55 years now. So in a way, this was very important as a boy before I went into work,
Hmm.
becoming professional. This was always interesting for me. So I was reading a lot of Japanese poems and literature and history and all that. The art of Japan. I like this country a lot, and so I feel that I have done my part. In Japan, people retire at age 60 out of the big corporations, or they are artists and do something with their hands, and they
Yeah.
may never, but most people working in corporations retire at 60, and then they go for the spiritual journey. So if you haven't done it, you start at age 60. So now I said, maybe I'll do it again, right? So I will go back to what I was loving when I was a boy and still love and loved all my life, but have time and spend time without producing anything. So for me, it's not. Some people, not me. It's not about something I need to. So maybe I have touched some people in terms. I helped some people that I like, them. But do I have to leave a legacy? No, it's not.
Hmm.
I'm. I don't think in this kind of categories or something. I just do, and so I'm going back like the 6 week vacations you had when you were a boy, when you had school vacation and nothing in front of you, and you just went to the library and read books and enjoyed whatever you learned. And so for me, it looks like I will go back to this in a,
Okay.
in whatever in a short time, right? But it will be a big change, right? uh, sh- One day shut down your company, stop working, and so this is another big change, right? So, but as you know me, I prepare already.
I
Reading books about it. I listen to
would,
podcasts. How to
I'm sure
inspire
you'd
others.
be very disciplined in
Oh
that
yes,
as well. Okay, I think that's a great moment to like complete. Uh, I mean, Tony, I really want to thank you for your time and for your insight and the amazing journey you shared with us and some of the turning points in your life and some of I'm sure turning points that will come and you probably will how do you say it? You know, I will be good at it. Probably not the best,
yeah.
but I'm sure you exceed quite a few people in doing so. Um, but yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this is also a moment, you know, if people are interested to get in touch with you, how they can reach you. I mean, they can reach you on LinkedIn, they can reach you on Guerrilla Marketing Group, anywhere
Yes.
else that you would be available for, or
Oh yes, yes, yes. If people want to get in contact, send me a LinkedIn message or write an email. And if I'm not traveling to Japan, I will answer. Okay.
okay. Yeah, and for the viewers, I mean, there was a bit of a hiccup in the connection. Thank you for hanging in, and yeah, thank you, and I'll hope to see you again next week in another episode. And Tony, thank you very much for being here today.
Pleasure being part of that.